Hey, what's up guys, this is Liam or Weagle on your Overwatch, back with a new video. Today we're going to be going through how to do the new PvE Uprising on Legendary difficulty. Now we will be swapping out the Tracer for a Bastion, as it's the only way anyone seems to be able to do it right now, but I can tell you how to get quite far into the map with Tracer, but there becomes some big complications later on. I will explain them, but we're going to go through exactly how to finish it on Legendary difficulty first. So you're going to take a Bastion, Torbjorn, Reinhardt, and Mercy. The Mercy should be damage boosting the Bastion as much as possible. I will go through some Torbjorn turret positions as well, but the Rein's job is mainly to shield and ult the Bastions when they're giving you problems. Now, the first section's very simple. You just need to turret up, get your Reinhardt shield up, and shoot things. You shouldn't have any trouble on this first point. The spawns do vary on these bots, but it should be fairly simple to get through it. Now, the next statue section, you can take out the one Omnic that's there on its own and turret up on top of this monitor. You can put the Torbjorn turret around in many positions here. It doesn't make a big difference. It will just do some crowd control damage and give the enemies something else to shoot at. Make sure you try to kill things as quickly as possible here so they don't overwhelm you, and as soon as they're behind you, turn around and shoot them. With Mercy damage boosting you, this section shouldn't give you too much trouble. You may need a Reinhardt ult if there's too many on this front facing section here through the gates, but apart from that, again, on your first or second attempt, this should become fairly simple. You shouldn't need to use too many ults here, although you can. It isn't a problem if you res or use any ults, because you will get them back very quickly. Now, before you get actually into the church, there is a quick wave to take out. You can ult these as well if you like. Just take them out quickly. There's not really any issues from these. If you take it slowly, then there can be. But with the sheer power that Bastion offers, this whole section shouldn't give you too much trouble. Now, in the church section, I like to turret up in the middle and have the Torbjorn turret on one of the sides to crowd control any of the Omnics coming through the doors. You want to try and prioritize to kill the squishy targets as quickly as possible, and once the people with the shields come through, you should be able to shred them here with the Mercy damage boost. Also, Rein can choose to pin some of them here if his shield's getting destroyed, and do a little bit of swing damage as well. Fire strikes are also very good for hitting multiple targets in this section through the door. Again, this one on your first or second attempt through, I'm sure you aren't having too much trouble with it. It's not super difficult, and you shouldn't need to res too much up to this point. Now, one thing I will say here as well is that when you are resing, always try to do the solo res. Try not to use Mercy's Resurrect unless it's an absolute last resort. Now, the section that starts giving people a lot of trouble, and we have completed this section once without the Bastion, and I will talk about that later. But what you need to do here is actually turret up on these kind of jet engines, because if you're not careful, the payload can get in the way of you shooting the enemies, and we really don't want that. Also, you'll see that my Torbjorn actually puts his turret next to this phone box, because the Bastions that we're going to talk about in a second won't give it so much trouble, and you'll always be able to do some damage, especially when you Molten Core. Now, the first section of this wave, again, is very similar to the church, with the same shield guys and the normal robots. Now, the small ones that will come in as well, but they're very easy to kill. And the first wave here, again, shouldn't give you too much trouble. But now the orbs start coming in. You should always prioritize these orbs. The first one will come from the left-hand side, and if you all shoot it, shouldn't give you too much trouble. Now, when the next orb comes in, usually from the right-hand side, although sometimes it does change, you may need to pin it or use an ultimate to hammer it down, or whether it be Molten Core as well. This won't always be a thing you'll have to do, but sometimes if you're not killing things quick enough, the waves still come in at the same speed. So if you're killing things really quickly the whole time, it makes things much easier. And the more that you play through it, the quicker you'll do it, and the easier these waves will seem. Now, the real first trouble that a lot of people are running into and getting stuck on are the Bastions. Now, the first Bastion will usually come from the left, but it doesn't always. When this first Bastion comes in, you should all be shooting at it while damage boost, and you should be able to take it out without using any ultimates. But here is where ultimate management does come in. Now, when the next Bastion comes in, sometimes you'll have either used an ult or you'll be on the back foot. You absolutely have to hit a pin on it, or you have to use Molten Core, or you have to hammer down. the second bastion can cause a lot of problems, and once that one's gone, it becomes a little bit easier. The next wave's more of the same, just a little bit more compact. You'll get some bastions and you'll get some orbs. The orbs aren't as bad as you would think. They self-destruct on the payload and they do like 20 damage, but it does vary depending on how far they are when they detonate, if you boop them away on different things. But it shouldn't give you too much trouble, and if it damages the payload, it shouldn't be too much to worry about, because when you go into the next section, even if you've only got 25% payload, it's fairly easy to get through it. So make sure you use your ultimates in a way that just gets rid of the bastions. The bastions really are the only trouble here when using this character class setup. Moving on to the next section is more of the same, but it is a little bit different in the terms of the things coming at you. Straight away, there's going to be a bastion in tank form, and you make sure you take that out, you prioritize it. Here, you just need to keep doing 180s to destroy things, trying to take out the guys with the shields as much as you possibly can. Always watch out for tank bastions. On these different runs we've had, it feels like sometimes the amount of tank bastions you get and the amount of orbs you get does change a little bit, as well as the amount of the guys with the shields as well, so do be careful of that. Now, one thing that will happen is one will come out of the subway on the right hand side when you get all the way around the corner. Again, make sure you prioritize this. Get it out straight away. You can hammer it down or use any ultimate that you would like. The last section isn't very difficult once you get the payload all the way to the end. You just have to make sure there's no more tank bastions or orbs coming in, but this shouldn't give you any trouble right at the end. I don't think I've seen anyone struggling with this section too much actually. Once they get past the first bit, this one's quite easy. Now the last section, the warehouse section, are where things really become tricky. You want to take out the first Orisa as quickly as you possibly can. If you move over to the right as well, once doing this, without moving too far, you can also kill the turreted bastion before the next bastion comes in. Now you'll see in a second that another tank bastion comes in on time, and you make sure you take him out as quickly as possible. Once he's gone, it's good to try and deal with the Orisa if you can. Now there's a cheeky little spot here that you'll see me shooting at a bastion in the distance in a window. You can also drop a torp turret here to shoot at that. So once you've taken out the Orisa, you can then move on and proceed to kill this other bastion that's in the window. This is a very, very good way, an efficient way to do this. Now it may not be the fastest, but it's definitely the easiest to stay alive, and you'll see that we can get some cheeky reses as well because of the angles that this presents. It's very, very easy to exploit this and get the easy reses and not the big mercy reses that you need to save for a last resort. Once you've killed the guy in the window, you want to walk over and move around to the back. Here you want to try and take out the bastion at the back left as quickly as possible before the next tank bastion comes in. Once you deal with this guy on the back left, the tank bastion will start rolling round. Now he does come from different angles and you want to try and take him out. This last section is all about perseverance. You want to try and kill this bastion that I say is up on the left, and then you want to kill the tank bastion as he comes in. The only two things that remain are going to be a bastion in the far distance that shouldn't give you any trouble from this angle, and two Orisas. Here you just have to be very, very patient. We very nearly messed this up. We got impatient at the end. We ran out of shield. We pinned it, and he actually died, and we managed to just get the last Orisa at the last second. The only thing I would definitely say that you don't follow, or my advice on in this video, is this last section. Take more care than we did, because we were way too kind of overextended and way too in the face of these things, because we just wanted to do it because it was like our 50th attempt where we really wanted to win. So that's how you do it, guys. That's the methodology. The first section's easy. The statue section shouldn't give you trouble, the same as the church. At the next payload section, just make sure you're careful with your ultimate usage. Always prioritize them bastions coming in. Now when you're moving the payload through streets, again you prioritize the bastions, but this time not the static ones, the ones that are in tank form. Make sure you get rid of them. In the last section, you take this very methodic S route through the map to finally win out the game. Now, for those that want to know about how to do it with Tracer instead of Bastion, which is the default setup, we used a very similar theory when trying to do it. Now, the issue that we got to is that we simply weren't good enough to do the very end of the payload section. Because what you have to do is that you have to make sure you're hitting pins on the bastion while sticking pulse bombs to them. Once you pulse bomb the first bastion and you pin him, you then have to somehow regroup and molten core for the next bastion. Now, in between that, you've got about a minute before the next wave of bastions come in. Now, to do that, you have to charge all of your ults again without dying and without taking too much hit on the payload. I don't know if anyone's actually completed this yet, and if they have, let me know in the comments. I would absolutely love to see it, because we were thinking that it's borderline impossible. There's definitely some ways to exploit some of the spawns and the pathing of the Omnics, but without a bastion, this is insanely difficult. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Is it possible? Maybe, maybe not. Be sure to check out our Twitter, our Twitch, and our Discord, where you guys can find the Bastion main of your dreams. Be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed, and have a great day as always. Take care and peace, people.